When I was invited by the organizer to give a speech a couple of months ago, I was wondering what is a good topic to talk about. I realized from the list of very distinguished speakers, they have all gone into very detailed supply chain topics, which is very impressive. So for my speech today, I decided to choose something probably lighter, maybe something more fun. And what can be more fun than talking about the future of logistics? So with that, I will say that, let me see. This is the agenda today. I think what I intend to do is that hopefully after the speech, you'll be able to get some new ideas of what can be done within the logistics world. Not so much of just talking about how you optimize your current assets in terms of what you can do about it, but also to probably think about new ideas that you can do better. For example, I think in India, we all know that nobody uses landlines anymore. Everybody starts to use mobile phone, right? So the question then is that in the world of logistics, I believe that we are still at a very infancy stage of doing a lot of things manually. So the question is that can we do it better with the use of technology and maybe with the use of other things? And hopefully this will bring about a new thinking, a new value to you after the conference. So this is my topic today, World of Logistics 2050. I'll talk a little bit about the logistics trend radar, major market shifts, especially in the area of consumer, and some of the innovative solutions. So logistics trend data, this is, sorry, goes there. So first question, can you predict the world of logistics in 2050? Can anybody tell me or predict the world of logistics in 2050? It is very far into the future, but the question is that, I think a lot of people of you might be thinking, will logistics still be around in 2050? With all the automations and things that's flying around, right? So the question is that, do I still have a job here? I don't know, maybe not, but that's a question to think about. So from a DHL perspective, we started by looking and saying, how could logistics be like in the year 2050? Because we need to stay relevant in terms of this very rapid changing marketplace. Go on the internet if you want to take a look at the whole video. But we came up with a couple of scenarios that says, there could be changes in the consumer behaviors, there could be changes in the way that government deal with things, and there could be a lot of other things. So from a DHL perspective, or from a logistics angle, what do we need to do ourselves to be able to do better? For the purpose of today, I'm just going to show you one video. Otherwise, we won't be, I will just sit down and show you the video on these things. I'll talk about customers' lifestyle, and I'll just play this video for you. Sorry. This needs to work because there's a couple more videos that I'm going to show, so hopefully the first one will do it. So let me just start it.
It's much more colorful, diverse, and local. Technical progress, especially in 3D printing, turns consumers into producers. Self-made and individually tailored become the new ethos for society. New types of production processes facilitate a world with a multitude of individual lifestyles. Uniform goods and mass-produced items have vanished from display windows in apartments. The consequence of this development is not only a revolution in supply chains. Awareness about the need for recycling is growing, creating new commercial perspectives. It's a world characterized by diversity. But are more possibilities out there?
I personally like this particular scenario. It is about customer lifestyle. I think what you might not have catch in the beginning is that there is this 3D printing that is going on, right? So a lot of people have started saying that maybe I should stop shipping goods and start printing goods. In that case, we can get rid of the logistics. I'm not too sure about that because if you want to print, you still need the cartridges, right? So we still have to ship it for you. But on a more serious note, this brought about a few thinking in our process. The world of customization has started a lot, especially in the consumer's area. So the whole, if you like, the whole supply chain, as also just basically mentioned, it seems that it is going to be more of a pull rather than push. Because things will start changing at the consumer ends, and we need to find a supply chain that is able to respond to these things in a little bit of different ways. Right? And with the use of technology like 3D printing, 3D printing is not something in the 2050. We forecast that 3D printing will be around, or probably be taking a big impact on us maybe in the next 5 to 10 years. As a matter of fact, as I'm speaking now, we are already working with an automobile company in the F1 circuit to print out parts such that they can test drive these parts during the circuits itself, so that we can look at just changing that at the headquarters, do the changes, and transferring the files, print it out, and see if we can do that. But the technology is still not very mature. But it is not something very far away. It's something that we need to look out from a perspective. So moving away from mass production to a little bit of customer lives, customization. It also, if you look, there's this rubbish thing that we started to throw things away. It also started people thinking about circular economy, circular logistics. The question is that a lot of people is talking about water being shortages now. Raw materials probably going to start to have a little bit things. I was listening to the cocoa thing yesterday. It seems that all these things are shrinking. So the question is that a lot of the things that we are using today, can we actually reuse all this stuff? This becomes something that a lot of people is starting to look at and say that can we do something about changing these things back to recycle these products back for bigger use in the future, right? So we all recognize the fact that logistics is undergoing a major transformation now. Logistics are not only done by logistics providers now, they are done by a lot of people, Amazon, eBay, right? They are basically looking at their own logistics, and the question is that, can they do their own logistics? I think those questions are coming. There are new players coming out, crowd logistics. You heard about that as well. So there are a lot of changes and transformation. The question then is that, how do we look at these trends and say, how do we leverage it? How can we basically innovate to stay relevant to the economy? Not only for our logistics provider, but also for you as well. Because you need to look at better ways to serve the customers. If you don't do that, you will be losing out in the marketplace. So let's talk about how do we innovate to stay relevant. In my company, DHL, we do a couple of things. We talk to customers, we listen around and say that what are the things in terms of trend that logistics are coming out in the next 5 to 10 years. So we come out with a trend radar, right? And then we go into the trend reports, we exhibit that in the innovation center, and then we also try to test it out with our customers to see whether they are relevant or not. So these things are not actually secrets in the world. We publish this book on a regular basis, the DHL trend data. You can actually download it on the internet as well. The reason why we are sharing all this is because we feel that this thing will actually help the industry transform and make it a better world from a logistics perspective. I have also other books here that augmented logistics in terms of things. Go take a look. They have got pretty good insights on these things, and it might just give you some ideas on it. So let me just go a little bit deeper. This is what we do in terms of trend radar. We look at things within the 5 years range, less than 5 years, more than 5 years. We look at the technology trends and the business trends. So 3D printing, if you can see, is on the top right-hand corner. We believe this is something more than 5 years later, and primarily because of the fact that the technology is not as prominent as it is now. But there are a lot of things within the 5 years range that we should be aware about, and things like augmented reality, things like Internet of Things. We need to be on the lookout and see how this can transform the way that we do logistics, and how these things can transform the way that you do business. Right? So, apart from looking at the trend data, which I'm going to go into some of this as well, we analyze the market trends and say, what are the things that's coming out in the markets that are relevant to us? And from there, then can we apply such changes to this market? So I'm going to go into a little bit of the shift in growth patterns. I'm going to talk a bit on the new consumer, and then probably some of the accelerating impact of new technologies to this area. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these things. Everybody knows that the shift is going to the emerging markets. Emerging markets is actually growing a lot more, both from a population standpoint, all the yellow dots, and also the GDP per capita in terms of CAGR. So in terms of innovation, emerging markets is also a good place to start because they have a low base. They have got a base that is not really there. So the question is that, can we do something in emerging markets that make a difference to these companies that are growing? Another trend that we do realize is that if you look on the left-hand side, you look at the number of Fortune 500 companies in the past couple of years. Right, 2000, there's only 24 companies in the Fortune 500 from the emerging markets. And we forecast that this is going to grow to 50%. Right? So the advantage that we have now, especially in China, especially those medium-sized Chinese companies trying to grow and trying to expand, the advantage that you have is that you don't have to follow what the other guys are doing. You can actually look in terms of how you can do things a little better, leapfrog to the new generation, and make it better. So a lot of new brand names are coming out in the Fortune 500 that we are working with actively to see how we can make this a little bit more localized and a little bit more relevant to new markets. The growth of Asia Pacific, this is a big slide. The important thing that you need to note is that APAC is important as a growth region. We took a look at the trade lanes, basically the amount of transportation going from one country to the other country, the trade lanes, right? In the year 2030, 12 of the top 15 trade lanes will be from Asia. So Asia is going to be the growth market. So if anything, this is the place to be. And of the 12, I can say more than 50% is from China. So you know the impact, right? The other things that we look at is the comparison of manufacturing costs. And we do realize that China, a while ago, is actually considered to be one of the lowest costs in terms of labor for production. But if you look forward, this has actually gone up. It's a lot more than Vietnam. It's a lot more than Thailand, Indonesia, India. It is a truth, and we all know that production will probably slowly shift outside China in the next 10, 20, 30 years. Where will it move to? Likely changes in Southeast Asia. So there's a big shift of this economy from here to there. So if you look in terms of the way that we're going to react to the economy and the business and logistics-wise, that will be the places that we should be looking at in terms of the new configuration of the network. Right? We took a look at urbanization. This is a big trend that's coming on board. APAC will urbanize at the rate of 30% in the next couple of years. And the interesting thing is that it will form 54% of the global urban population. So from a logistics perspective, especially for us looking at food beverages, your logistics needs to be relevant to urban logistics, which is very different from just normal shipping now and things. Things will get a lot busier, there's going to be a lot more people, there's probably going to be a lot more drop points, and maybe the consumers will buy things in a different way. So things as such, we need to be looking at it deeper. Mobile phone penetration. Asia Pacific is already the biggest and fastest growing B2C market. It's already the biggest. But it will grow even faster than the rest of the regions. These are the changes that I think we, as business practitioners, need to be looking out for, and says that then how do we look at things in a different way to be able to serve this e-commerce market moving forward as well. But Asia is very complex. It's not one country. It's not like the Euro zone, right? It's formed by a lot of different countries, and in terms of looking at the ease of doing business, Singapore is obviously first. It's very easy to do business in Singapore. But if you look at India, it's 142. China is number 90. But it varies from very difficult to very easy. So the question again is that when you do logistics and you look at the manufacturing plants and you configure your RDCs, how do you configure a regional network to be able to look at this? How do you then look at the things like TPP, AEC, One Belt, One Road, or Belt Road, now it's being called, to work around some of these challenges that you are currently facing across the regions are things that we should be looking at, right? And when we look at some of the requests from our customers to say that what are the things, especially for all the companies in Asia, are you looking out? Do you want to do it better from an Asia Pacific region? A lot of them says that, number one, products and service innovation is most important for us in order for me to survive in the next few years. Because they do recognize that doing what they are doing now might not be good enough. They have to look at new product innovation, new service innovation to be able to serve the customers better. They want to enter new markets because of the world of e-commerce now and the way and the ease of going global. People want to go into new markets faster. Customer retention, new sales channel distribution, mergers, acquisitions are the top few. But if you look at the top two, people want to look at new things. They want to go and grow. They want to do things that is differently from what they are doing now, which is key. And from the side of the DHL sales channel distribution strategies, we're also coming out with new things to say, can we then help you do logistics slightly better than what you are doing now? So one of this innovation that we have is that I love this truck. This is called Big Yellow. It's big. It's called Big Yellow because it's really big, right? If you look at it here, we have got this cloth covered. But essentially, if you look at the top, the doors will open like a Ferrari. It goes this way. And the nice thing about that is that it's segmented into chambers, and it has got this adjustable decks for you to put your food and beverages inside it. What's the use of it? I think that a lot of you will know that a lot of time when we spend in terms of transportation for the last mile delivery is probably on loading and unloading. It's not sometimes the distance that you travel to, but it's loading and loading waiting times. This can help tremendously if you were to be able to do things more effectively. We did Big Yellow is BY. We did a comparisons with all the trucks, etc. It can actually potentially do a cost savings of 10 to 20%. This is something that we are already running in Indonesia. We are looking at it in the Philippines. In Thailand, we are putting a slightly different truck, but along the same idea. Bigger trucks on the road to make it more effective for you and more efficient for you from that perspective. So we are building these trucks in China as well, and sending them to various countries. So these are the things that potentially you can look at and say that, then how do I do my distributions slightly differently now, right? In terms of this, I'm not going to go through this, but pretty much what you basically see is that there are a lot of changes in terms of the shift of consumer patterns and the growth markets. And there are places in logistics that you can, that you can probably look at to make your business a lot more efficient. The new consumer, China, in terms of online retails versus total retail, in 2012 is 4.3%. In 2018 is projected to grow to about 11.3%. We know the data, and this is going to continue growing. What is interesting is that when we basically ask consumers and says that, what are you looking for in terms of e-commerce delivery? What are the expectations of you from the stores? They come back and say that fast delivery is one. When I order, I like to have the products as quickly as possible. Right? Product variety and availability enhances functionality, delivery options, easy return and exchange. I think these are the top few that people talk about when they want to do it. We have a little study from McKinsey as well. I think in e-commerce, what started as B2C e-com actually started in the non-food area, primarily because if you look at the white color space, that is actually doing things offline. If you look at the pink color place, it's actually those that you do online. So we started with non-food because the advantage, the benefits of ordering things offline for non-foods outweighs those of going to stores. But this has changed tremendously in the last few years, where convenience has started to be one of the areas that the consumers are looking at from ordering food. And when we go deeper into it and say, so why are people buying online? It comes from parents with young kids, urbanites, online shopping. They have got various things, but basically a lot of them say, I want convenience, I want it now, and I don't want to hassle of going and shop and all these things. So this is a very real opportunity, and there are various reasons that you can basically search on the web. But the interesting thing, as I was talking to a lot of the online retailers or the store retailers, and says that, so what are you going to do with all these changes? Are you going to run and just create a marketplace in e-com and basically just sell and deliver to people? The answer is probably not, because that becomes something what we call, this is the single channel thing, the open and close, you go and shop. The multi-channel thing, which people are trying to do now, in the sense that if you do online, I've got an online channel to distribute. If you do offline, you've got offline things to distribute. But I'm starting to see this change to omni-channel a lot more. So what's the difference between the two? The two is that basically consumers can order by phone, on laptop. They might basically tell you that I don't need to deliver to my house. I just want to pick up from this supermarket on my way home, but don't deliver to my house. Just pack it at 6:30. I'm going to just pick it up from you. So these are various things that you need to combine from the perspective of a consumer experience to say that it's not a single channel of fulfillment anymore. It's omni-channel, multi-channel, where people need to look at it. And from a logistics perspective, it is actually very difficult, because then the question is that, do I start pick and pack services in my retail store? It is difficult to do pick and pack in the retail store because the cost of doing that is much higher than doing it in the warehouse. The warehouse is built for that, not the retail store. But to be honest, it also depends on the number of orders that's coming in from online to decide whether I include my replenishment from the retail store or from the warehouse. So these studies have started to emerge, and I must say that there is no single tool or capabilities that say that this is the final answer. It is going through a transformational phase for a lot of customers. So when we look at omni-channels, there are two things that we're looking at. So the question is, how do you do a fulfillment network that you're able to replenish your stores or your distributor warehouse to be able to serve both the online and offline market in an effective way? And the other one is that how do you enhance your speed and convenience in the last mile delivery? Right? So how do you make this a lot better for customers who say, I want to pick up here, I want to do this, I want to do it at this time, etc. So from a logistics angle, we have thought of different things. You probably have not seen this in China, but there's a lot of this actually in Europe, where, say for example, for this conference, if I were to set up a DHL pack station here, these are little boxes, right? And imagine you got this mobile app, right? And you buy something online, it says that deliver to this place. So the courier will come, you open one of this box, they put your stuff in, and they send you a message to say that it is inside. When you go there, you flash your card, door open, you basically take it and you just go on. Similarly, if you want to ship something, it says that, FBIF, very big books, and you want to ship it home. You basically go there, open one of those cupboards and says that I want to ship it out. You send a note by the apps, the courier will come in, consolidate everything, and then take it out. These are the convenience that we're actually looking at, and if you go to Germany, you will have seen a lot of this at the various train stations that we are setting up, just to do a little bit of different things. Apart from that, we decided to stack boxes at people's house if they want to, so that we can actually put things there while they are not around. And that saves time and it saves cost for you, because from a logistics center, I'm going to put them multiple times and schedule with you. I just put it in a box, you can deal with those. This is fun. But I don't think it applies to people above 50 years old like myself. I'm not 50 years old, but 50 years old or people that likes car. In China, a lot of the older guys will say that, don't touch my car, right? My car is a precious thing. But in the younger generations, that has changed. We are doing a run with Audi car, such that we can deliver to the boot of the car. So what it is that the courier will look at it and says, I've got a parcel to deliver, and you have suggested that we deliver to the boot of your car. The apps will then allow the courier, using GPS, to go to the car, press, the boot of the car open up, you put the things in the car, close it, we go off. We promise not to scratch the car, right? But it works. Why does it work? It's 24/7. It can be at night that people does the delivery. That basically makes things a lot more efficient, especially in an urban situation, right? We are looking at this very closely, and we are probably going to roll it out to a lot more cars. But this is going to be fun. It transforms the way that people look at from an omni-channel, from customer service as well. Just imagine, you park a car there and says that, can you deliver that around this time I go, my groceries, for example. Hopefully it's not too hot in certain areas. You go in. Yeah, it's there, just driving back instead of doing a lot of this stuff. I'm going to show you another apps that we actually have running in Sweden already. It's called My Ways. It is actually crowdsourcing, but take a look at it and see what it is as well.
Carolina goes to university, and this is Carolina. Carolina goes to university and loves to buy dresses. To finance them, she uses My Ways, the new last-mile delivery solution from DHL. This is Ola. Ola works at his job all day. He keeps rehearsing with his rock band every evening and dreams of becoming a rock star. As Ola rocks too hard, he needs a new set of guitar strings, which he orders from his favorite online store. Being so busy, he won't be able to pick up his parcel at the local service point. Instead, Ola uses MyWays. He simply selects DHL during the ordering process, and when he receives the tracking number, he can create a parcel. Now, the parcel can be delivered at any time to any place he wants. Additionally, he can choose the amount of credits he would like to spend for this service. On her way home, Carolina checks how many MyWays parcels are on her route and simply reserves one. At the DHL service point, she only needs to show her ID to pick up the parcel. At the same time, Ola gets a notification that his new guitar strings are on the way. Now, they can get in touch via the MyWays messenger. At the handover, Ola clicks the checkout button and his credits will be transferred to Carolina's account. The credits can be turned into cash at any time. A small transaction fee goes to MyWays to maintain the platform. Now, Carolina and Ola can evaluate each other, and Carolina can finally afford the new dress she saw online. With MyWays, you get to know all kinds of interesting people who maybe share the same interests. It's truly flexible, environmentally friendly, and a fun experience. MyWays, by the way.
This is one of those things that the couriers get very worried about, right? But the truth is that we have to look at the change in industry. I mean, the change in industry is not now. It started since the industrializations many years ago. People will need to change from their current way of doing things to the new way of doing things, and we just have to continue to transform ourselves in order to make it more cost-effective and better for the marketplace, right? So, accelerating impact of technology. So, some of this that you see are already technology that we put in place, but there are other more fun stuff that we're looking at. The interesting thing is that in a conference that in a DHL forum that I attended not too long ago, someone took out, a bill of lading, the airway bills equivalent of ocean freight, and that was in 30-something, 50 years ago, or very long ago. And he also took out the bill of lading of today. When we look at both documents, it's exactly the same. Not exactly, but most of it are the same. So the truth is that in logistics, we have not really transformed the way that we do logistics for the longest time, right? And we are starting to see that this is the time that things will we're going to start a serious change. Just look at warehouse automation. 80% of the warehouse currently are manual. 15% are mechanized, 5% are only automated. It leaves a lot of things to be desired. People can say, but labor cost is cheap in Vietnam and cheap in China. But the truth is that if you also look at the total cost of ownership, which many of our speakers talk about, and the service level that you're going to provide to your customers, maybe that could be a little bit more cost effective. And remember that technology is getting a lot cheaper now. So just take a look at that. This is one thing that we did with Macro in Thailand, right? We mechanized the whole place for frozen products, for chilled products, and for normal products. And the whole place run in a very effective way, 24/7, 4.3 million cases per month. We deliver to 43 stores and gather from 450 suppliers. It is a 5-year investment that Macro jointly worked with DHL to actually put it in place. And I can say that this actually helps them to expand their footprint throughout Thailand and be able to serve the customers more effectively. We just launched this week a huge 1 million square feet facility in Singapore, and we actually installed 40 robots inside the whole warehouse to serve our customers. Productivity has gone up by 40%. In terms of pick, in terms of pack, in terms of storage. So 40% in logistics is a lot, right? And these are the things that we should be looking out for going forward. And I'm going to show you something interesting here. This is Mr. Baxter. Do you have the sound on this? So basically what you're seeing is that, Mr. Baxter is like any robots, trying to pick up things, trying to put things, trying to pack things, etc. But what is so different from this robot is that this is the first generation robot that, you know, in the past, I'll just say it in the past, why does robots not take off in the logistics industry, but in other places like automotive manufacturing? It's because robots traditionally are stationary, they are dangerous, they put in cages sometimes, and they do fix things. They are not very intelligent. And you have to program a lot of things to make it do just movements. It is very easy for us to clean up our table after dining, after we eat at the table, right? But to ask a robot to do that is very, very difficult because of the fact that it's very complex, right? So instead of programming and making the robots do what they do, this first generation robots basically can copy the human being. So you just have to shift the arm and say, do this, and when a person walks past it, it can sense the person and you'll move away. And then you'll sense the person, and then you can see the face there, right? Then you will look at it and frown and say something is happening. And then you activate and says that come and take a look. You can teach them to do anything in the warehouse, right? By just looking at an arm. How much do you think this robot costs now? It costs 25,000 US. Cheap. It can be set up with not with a power plug, and it's probably set up in 48 hours. Simple. Right? So these are the things that will change, and I think robotics in robotics in logistics is probably the next big thing. We launched a robotics day in our innovation center in 2 months ago. We're going to have one in Singapore. If you're interested, you're welcome to visit Singapore Innovation Center and look at this. It's one of these things. The sound. For the interest of time, I'm not going to go through this. Anyway, this is not a DHL employee.
Mr. Hunt,
but this is the DHL version. This is something that we are already working with our customers to put it in, right? The interesting thing is that it basically tells you where to put the stuff. Just imagine in the logistics industry where people come and go and you have to retrain and retrain. You can basically get someone to wear this is fun, go there and say that just follow what the classes tell you to do. Of course, the not fun part, then you have computer evaluating how fast are you doing these things, right? But the truth is that it actually saves, it actually helps, right, to increase performance more than 25%. Again, 25% is a big number for logistics. You know, I'm saying that because logistics is a very small profit margin industry. And these numbers are huge as compared to the benefits that you can actually gain from improving it. Right.
Und ebenso auch das Thema Notfallversorgung, zum Beispiel eilige Arzneimittel eben auch sicherzustellen. Wir von DHL sind grundsätzlich natürlich daran interessiert, Grundversorgung zu betreiben. Wir wollen alle Menschen in Deutschland erreichen können und je schneller wir das können, desto besser.
Das ganz Besondere an diesem Projekt ist, dass es ein Fliegen außerhalb der menschlichen Sichtweite eines Steuerers ist. Das ist etwas, was es in dieser Form in Europa noch nicht gegeben hat.
Paketkunde liegt darin, dass zu typischen Inselwetterlagen, wenn normale Belieferung nicht mehr erfolgen kann, der Paketkunde noch fliegen kann. Beispielsweise bei Seenebel oder auch nachts.
This has got a lot of media attention. It's interesting because it serves a purpose where you can suddenly basically look at serving distribution into remote areas in a much more efficient and effective way. I'm not too sure whether you'll go, but and go a big way in the next 1-2 years because of drones causing airlines to crash sometimes if you're not careful with that. But the truth is that it is coming. As a matter of fact, this is the older version. The newer version, which is not up as a video as yet, is that we have this what we call the parcel copter, landing on top of the pack station that you saw just now, and doing automatic loading and unloading. So you don't even need people to have it there. So these are actually things that we want to see different from the logistics industries, and the question then is that how can this help you as you move forward in terms of developing new solutions, right? So I've come to the last couple of slides that I have. I'm not here to do sales. Just wanted to show you and share with you things that could potentially be of a new nature to you when you design new products, or the chances for us to work collaboratively with you in coming up with new solutions as well. So who are we? We are Deutsche Post DHL. We are a $56 billion euro companies with about 500 people. Right? Where I'm from the fast-growing enterprises, customer solutions, innovations, where I look across all e-commerce, express, ordering, supply chain, with the aspiration to serve our customer as a single point of contact, so that no matter what you need, you just need to talk to us, and we'll put solution in front of the services that we have, so that if you want air, you want express, everything, that you can actually do that. So people who will come to us from FG and go are people who want to expand, people want to look at new innovations, solutions, and new partnerships that we can help them to jointly look at from an end-to-end operational model. We do optimization of supply chain, new market penetration strategy as well. Now, given that this is a FBIF forum, my business unit has also wanted me to share some of these slides, which I'm going to go through very quickly in a minute, that we do have capabilities helping people to import products, raw materials, vegetables, fish, whatever, from other countries to China, then help them to look at from the warehouse angle, distribute them effectively in the warehouse angle. So these are some of the places that work with our partners to bring things in pretty much all over the world. We have licenses to do this in various cities across China. And yeah, this is warehouse distribution capabilities, which we have quite a few case studies if you're interested in, as well as cold chain, that you can see some of these things on. Case studies on cherries, and this I like. We are currently doing a lot of chilled beef import, but we're also piloting doing charter flights to bring live cows into China, which I thought could be interesting from Australia to China, which I thought would actually be for us consumers as well. So that's that. This is our innovation center, as I was mentioning. We have one that we just refurbished in Bonn, and a lot of the solutions that you saw just now that are presented, you can actually look at it, maybe touch on some of this in innovation in Germany. It's in Bonn, TriStop. In Singapore, we have also started an innovation center to work with our customers to be able to develop new solutions. I think the fact is that, the truth is that I don't think anybody will know what logistics is going to be like in 2050. But we can take incremental steps to see what is happening now in the marketplace and test out new automations, new way of doing things, to hopefully do things a bit better and in an incremental way, especially things in Omni-channel, etc. If you have any questions, please contact me, and I'll be happy to have a chat with you. I hope this is useful, and thank you very much. I think I've got 5 more minutes for questions if you do have any questions.
Hi, it was a very interesting topic about the future. I would like to ask, what's the future of packaging for logistics in terms of small shipments, because that's the biggest thing that I get, especially with cold chain.
In terms of cross-border packaging?
not necessarily cross-border, in general. What you see in your beautiful videos is not really the reality of China when you get the shipments. So.
It's an interesting question. I'm not too sure. Is there anybody from JD here? I would say I'll just answer from a generic perspective that from a cold chain perspective, there needs to be new innovations, primarily because I think the market today is not very mature in terms of true innovations. But what we've done from the perspective is that in DHL we have innovated something called a temperature and humidity monitoring card, where you throw inside your packages, and then it monitors your temperature all the way from the origin to the end. At the end, if you press a button, if it's red, means that you better go and look at it and see at which point the temperature is compromised. If it's green, you can just go ahead and be happy about it, right? But there are certain food items, like for example, JD is starting to report, and we're helping them to look at it, lobster from Boston. I can tell you, China consumes a lot of lobsters. The Boston guys are not very happy because the cost of lobsters has just gone up in Boston, which is where my boss is. And basically we have to look at different ways of importing those, because lobsters, if you know, you cannot chew lobsters. You have to eat live, you have to basically kill the lobsters and eat it fresh. Right? So the way to keep it alive, all the way from origins to the destinations where you have a big tank to be able to put those things in and maintain it such that you can do effective last mile distribution. New things that we have to work through it, find partners as well, not even with DHL. I feel that the logistics world, no one partner can probably do all of this themselves. It's going to be a great investment, so we just have to leverage everyone through innovation to say what is an effective way to go through that. So if you ask me, you know, we can talk about specifics, but generally I would see a wider collaboration in the marketplace with various parties and suppliers to form a solution that's effective. All this innovation that we have, we don't invent ourselves, we don't produce parcelcopters. We work in conjunction with technology companies like HPs, with you know, various companies to be able to come up with solutions that serve.
First up, you share a lot of great innovation in DHL. My question is, I saw you have a lot of innovation you launched in the headquarters or in the Asia, like Thailand, Australia. So what kind of innovation in China you will implement in the next 2 or 3 years? Is my first question. Second, how you transfer this into innovation also, the global, you know, your top, you know, the company, you support China e-commerce and also can be, you know, optimize the total value chain, you know, cost, and also can deliver fast, means also improve your service.
Thank you. That's a tough question. And I know we are collaborating with Mars in a different perspective. Well, I say that one of the reasons that we actually located an innovation center in Singapore is because we do realize that innovation has to be localized. At the end of the day, it has to suit the people actually using it with the right rules and regulations. So what we actually wanted to do from innovation standpoint when we set up innovation center is that we have transformed it to be less of a science center, if you know what I mean, you go in and look at all the various technologies, to something that you go and take a look, you go into a room and discuss how things can work together. So it's a little bit more customized, and from that perspective, then we'll see how we can deal with it. I think a lot of these ideas now, some are already going out, like for example, my waste and all this stuff. But there are a lot of concepts that I would say that it's not at the mass production stage. It has to be tested out with relevant customers, and that's what we are hoping to go through. So in China, you say that is there specific ones? We say no, but if you talk about track and trace technologies, optimization, all these things that you guys face every day, we are doing it with systems and everything else in terms of information and stuff, right? Just last year, I was just sharing, or yesterday was that we also work with online to offline, O2O channel strategies for a retail company in China that wants to synchronize the logistics and inventories for both online to offline. Those has to be customized studies that we work together to see how we can incorporate apps and the way the customer orders to the logistics fulfillment. But I would say that there's no one big thing to say is that we innovate, because I don't think that will happen. But I see what happened is that if you are keen to work together to kind of like form specific areas of improvement, like for example, it says that I want faster response from understanding, if people pick up a Mars chocolate, straight away I know, and it sends a replenishment order to come back to fulfill this. How many people pick up and put back those kind of things? I think the technology is there. The Internet of Things will actually solve it. And we can actually use this and work this together with suppliers to make it a reality for you, from the perspective of then making the whole distribution tied up end to end. I think that's the way that I see that going forward, right? Combining technology, information, Internet of Things, and reuse. But there's no one big thing as such. Thanks. Any more questions?
Hi, Alfred.
Hi.
I think you shared a great thing, innovation, also like point out the future, the logistics here. But I would like to say that, there's a little bit gap here. Maybe the reality in China. I mean, most the 3PL, including DHL, I believe that they're light assets here. Even the truck you showed, like 16.5. I mean, according to GP5 here is probably against it. But again, a lot of things are illegal. We're not going to talk about that. But I think that today the focus is on innovation. To talk about how you can combine these innovation idea with your local team here. My questions here, when you encounter, you're based in Singapore and you realize there's a huge gap here in reality, come to implementation, these logistics, service supply with your encounter partner here in DHL. I mean, what is the biggest challenge you always had with them, to try to implement these innovation idea with them?
I would say that that's a question. Don't get me wrong that I come up here and talk big and nice about all these new technologies that's going to help you transform the world. I think it will go that way at some point in time, right? At this incremental stage. But now the truth is that we are helping our customers at the ground level to solve things. Like for example, the big trucks that we are looking at that point in time. I was just off from Philippines before I came here. Talking to a huge food and beverages company I can't tell because we are in the final stage of negotiation with them. But we are actually pulling in 7, 8 of these huge trucks for specific trade lanes from their source warehouse to their cross-docking centers using bigger trucks. And straight away with those little innovation, you call it, in terms of the trucks and the ability to go in on the same roads, right? It actually already helped them save 15% of their costs, right? In terms of optimization. So these are the things that we do regularly with our customers to go through and solve their problems on a day-to-day basis on all that we spoke about, optimization, customer service, etc. Right? I think some of these things, like for example, robotics, wearables technology, can further accelerate the productivity. At the end of the day, we believe from a logistics angle, we all talk about investors and all these things. From a logistics angle, there's only very little things that we can do to make ourselves a lot better. The only way to deal with it is to increase productivity. And what you have seen, all these things is basically to increase productivity, using a lot less assets to be able to do logistics a lot more effectively. So the normal day-to-day things continues. It doesn't change. But today I thought it would be fun to just share with you something that you can take a peek to in the future of logistics, and maybe trigger some thoughts to say, can I do this a little bit differently? Because there are proven use cases that some of this already work. Right? So I would say that it's tough. Right? A lot of things that I'm working with customers now are still at a thing where end-to-end supply chain, can you give any information, track and trace and stuff. I think those will have to continue. Right? But the mechanism can hopefully take a little bit of space. Any other questions?
My question is very simple. Given to the current regulations more strict in the food safety requirements, are we really, what is the DHL's perspective on the import-export dangerous goods management, and what are the efforts that you're putting in?
I would say that on that part, specific to the China one, probably we can actually talk a little bit offline. I'm not probably the best person to answer that question. There are changes in the sectors. and I'm not the best person, but what I can do is that I can speak to you offline and probably recommend the right person for you to speak to. There are changes in China as well that I know that import of e-commerce in the last couple of weeks was stopped because China want to impose taxes on e-commerce products coming in and maybe people from buying more products as well, ordering from overseas. So these impacts are not known to us in terms of the wider scheme of things because we do work with people like JDs and Alibaba and the rest. So let's talk offline and see your specific requirements and have to do it because at the end, again, it just goes to something that we're more specific about. Actually, I know that I'm between you and the break. So I'm going to be around and I'll probably just end this conversation here, and if there are any more questions, I'll be happy to speak to you offline. So thank you very much again, and thanks for support for DHL for those of you who have used us, and hopefully we can talk to you a lot more on more collaborations in the future. So thank you very much.